Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, miércoles el 6 de noviembre. Just to review notes that we covered from last class, beginning on page 45 of the textbook, our main objective is to utilize the verb ser to identify and to describe people and things. And as we talked about last class, the verb ser is conjugated according to subject pronouns. And subject pronouns, like in English, are divided into three groups: first, second, and third person, singular and plural. And just like in English, a subject pronoun replaces a noun, right? A person, place, or thing. So in accordance with those subject pronouns, we have the different conjugations of ser, and those are on page 46. Yo soy, to say I am. Tu eres, to say or ask you are. Él, ella, or usted es, to say you are formally in the usted form, or to say he or she is, or it is. Él, ella, es. Nosotros somos, to say we are, and then ellos, ellas, ustedes son. They are, ellos, ellas, or you plural. You are in the ustedes form. As mentioned previously, ser is used to identify people or things, and it's also utilized to indicate origin, where someone or something is from. Like the question that you guys learned in quarter one, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres tú? Asking someone in the to form where they're from, and you're familiar with the response in the yo form. Yo soy de, and then the country or city or town or whatnot. We also use ser to indicate profession or occupation, but unlike English, we do not include the indefinite article a, Spanish, un or una. In Spanish, we omit the indefinite article and just have the profession, as you can see in these examples. We would include the indefinite article, however, if we use an adjective to describe the profession. We did the inténtalo last class, and we are going to continue with doing activity 1 and activity 2. For activity 1, two things you need to do. Indicate the subject pronouns that you would A, use to talk to people, and B, use to talk about people. So I guess the first step would be take a look at the subject pronouns that are on pages 45 and 46. Which subject pronouns would you use to talk to someone? Well, there are only 3. To, if talking to someone casually, familiar. Usted, when talking to someone formally or politely. Tu, usted, and ustedes, when talking to a group of people, regardless of formality. The book says formal, but it really isn't. In Spain, it's considered to be formal because Spain uses the vosotros, but as discussed before, we will not cover the vosotros because of the fact that it is used predominantly in Spain. So for all intents and purposes, tu and usted and ustedes are the only options for pronouns to talk to someone directly, right? To talk about someone, well, essentially everything else, right? Yo, to talk about yourself. Él or ella, to talk about him or her, he or she. Nosotros, to talk about us, we. And ellos or ellas, to talk about them, they. So if we do the example, un joven is a young person, teenager. Un joven, if you were to talk to them, you would say to. And if you were to talk about them, to, because, you can be casual, right? And el, because you're talking about them in the third person singular. Masculine, right? Un joven. Un is a masculine indefinite article. For number 1 and 2, I'll do with you. And then I'll have you do 3 through 6 on your own. Number 1, una chica would be to, right? Talking to them directly. No need to be formal. It's a girl, right? Una chica. And then if we're talking about her, the subject pronoun would be ella, she, ella. So number 1, to talk to her, ella, talk about her. We're going to change number 2 to la Presidente de Mexico because the current president of Mexico is a woman. Talking to her, certainly we would want to use usted, right, to be polite to the president. Usted. Whereas talking about her would be just like number 1. Ella. Again, because it's la Presidente de Mexico, a woman president. So knock out 3 through 6. Indicate the subject pronoun used to talk to these people and to talk about them. And keep in mind that 3 and 6 are plural, talking about more than one person. For activity 2, you're going to do 2 things. Use the questions ¿Quién es? And ¿De dónde es? To ask questions about who these people are and where they're from. For example, ¿Quién es? Es Selena Gomez. ¿De dónde es? Es de los Estados Unidos. We're using ser for the first question to identify someone, and we're using ser in the second question to indicate origin, asking and responding to where someone is from. So for number 1, ¿Quién es? Es Enrique Iglesias. ¿De dónde es? Es de España. Number 2, ¿Quién es? Es Robinson Cano. ¿De dónde es? Es de la República Dominicana. We'll do one more together for good measure. Number 3, ¿Quién son or quiénes son? We need to use son because our subject is plural, right? We have 2 people that we're talking about, Eva Mendez y Prince Royce. So the question needs to use a plural form of the verb ser, ¿quiénes son? And our answer will also use a plural form of the verb ser. The answer for number 3, the first question, son Eva Mendez y Prince Royce. ¿De dónde son? Where are they from? Ellos son, or just son, de los Estados Unidos. Just like the example, but son de instead of este, because we're talking about a plural subject. Final thing that you're going to do is the homework, which I'm going to pull up right now. Minimize all this stuff. Sorry about that. Thought I had that handy. So this is the handout on the verb ser. Ser means to be. We use ser to identify a person, introduce a person, describe a person, talk about a person. Any one of those verbs would work, or say where someone is from. How do we conjugate the verb ser? Well, utilize your notes. Page 40, the pages we've been referring to, right? 46, these are the conjugations that are going to go into the blanks for here, right? Soy, eres, es, somos, son, and then you can just put an X for vosotros, because again, vosotros, which is you plural, it's the same as ustedes, but is used predominantly in Spain, almost exclusively in Spain, and therefore we are not going to use it because we're in the Americas. I'll give you the bottom part of this as well because this is level 2. This is actually a level 2 handout, and it's not discussed in the book where we are so far. Ser is used to describe personal characteristics of a person, place, or thing, aka a noun. And that acronym there at the bottom, doctor, is used to memorize or articulate the different situations that ser is used for. You don't need to worry about that acronym. We'll go over that toward the end of the year as I begin to introduce to you formally level 2 content. All right, so going to the back now, going to do the first few with you, and then you'll be on your own for the rest. Write the correct form of the verb ser to match each subject. Your options for each of these blanks are one of these 5 conjugations, right? Write the correct form, the correct conjugation of ser, soy, eres, es, somos, or son, according to the subject that's provided. Number 1, Don Marcos. Mr. Marcos would be singular, talking about him, él. And so the correct answer for number 1 is es. Yo, talking about yourself in the yo form, would be soy. Yo soy for number 2. Tus amigos, your friends, is a plural subject. It's different from tu. Tu means you, but tus means your. Tus isn't the subject. Amigos is the subject, right? So what conjugation would go with amigos? Well, amigos would be third person plural, right? They, ellos. Correct answer for number 3, son. Number 4, mi padre, my dad, is singular. Él, he, my dad, él es. Es for number 4. And then finally, number 5 would also be es when talking to someone politely in the usted form. 20 is the only tricky one in this group, I think. I think everything else is pretty straightforward. Again, don't mistake this 2 for this 2. This 2 with a accent as a subject means you. This 2 without an accent means your. Always look at the word that comes after the noun. That'll be your subject. And that will influence what form of ser to use. Number 20, though, very similar. We have what appear to be 2 subjects, though. We really don't have 2 subjects. We have 1. La madre de tu amiga, the mother of your friend, or in English we would say your friend's mom is one person, right? Mom. So la madre de tu amiga would be very similar to number 4, right? Just talking about one person. Talking about a mother, that would be ella. And the correct answer for number 20, es. Alright, for the rest of these, fill in the blanks with the correct form of ser, very similar to this activity, but you're doing it in a complete paragraph. Hola, yo soy Fernanda. No new subject, so we're going to assume that the subject for the second blank is the same as the first, and therefore the answer for the second blank is the same as the first. Soy de Costa Rica. I am from Costa Rica. Este es mi amigo Felix. This is my friend Felix. Mi amigo is singular. Es. Él es de él es alto y simpático, es de El Salvador. Alright, and for the last section, just simply circle the correct form of the verb ser according to your subject. This one's a little tricky because are we talking about Jose or are we talking to Jose? Talking to Jose because we have a comma and then the pronoun tu, so the correct answer for number 1 would be tú eres. And the response, number 2, in the yo form would be yo soy de Madrid.